It's the connection to the industry. It's the connection to the jobs, the career that they get right away or very shortly after they graduate. That, to me, that's the story. And you don't see that in other segments of the post-secondary education sector to the same degree that we do or you do in our sector. You just don't.
How can a set of skills lead you down the path to success? That's what we're setting out to answer on the Edup Canada podcast. I'm your host, Michael Sangster. Join me as we unpack how leaders around the world have taken training and skills and turned that into a lasting career. Now let's learn together. Welcome back to the Edup Canada podcast. I'm Michael Sangster, your host, and I am joined by a gentleman who reached out to me when I took on this job and offered some really sage, interesting advice when I got started. He probably doesn't even remember, but he's one of the gentlemen of the career college movement in Canada. Philippe Taza is joining us today, the CEO of Higher Education Marketing, also known as HEM. But Philippe is one of those guys that's always out to help a hand and lean in and help even other vendors and other colleges that aren't using his services, because he's just actually a really nice guy. Philippe, welcome.
I'm blushing, Michael.
I should follow you around to all of your events and do your introductions from now on.
You're pretty good at it. Yes, thank you.
So I asked Philippe to talk to us because there's a lot more that goes into a career college than just the education, just the instructor, just the campus life person, just the employment counselor, or the placement coordinator. There's so many pieces to it, but sometimes it's an outside vendor like Philippe, who plays a crucial role in making sure we connect the right students to the right college at the right time. So Philippe, why don't you talk a little bit about what HEM does and why you're so crucial in this education sector?
Thank you, Michael, for having me today. It's an honor. I started HEM in 2008 as a result of my experience working for a career college in Vancouver, which I've done at that time for 6 years, learning the ropes. And it was clear to me then that digital was going to play a big role into the student recruitment piece. So launched HEM to provide that resource of expertise, that extension to the internal teams of these colleges that don't always have the resources and bandwidth or expertise to be efficient across all those digital channels. So at HEM, that's what we do. We power the visibility of these colleges online through social, search, email, CRM, SIS, to efficiently be more visible to those potential students looking to enhance their careers and improve their lives.
You play a crucial role, and I'll simplify it. You connect students to the college to get them started, to take that first step, don't you?
Yeah. That's a lot of these potential students, either they're new Canadians or they're retraining or they're kind of stuck in a dead-end job in different sectors, and they're taking the transit or in their car, and they're looking online or they're thinking of a way to improve their family life. And that's where, these opportunities that we enable for our clients and for colleges to be visible to that potential learner kick in different shapes and sizes. And it's evolved over the years from traditional ads on Google. Google ads started, I think it's in 2000. I think it's November 2000. That's when Google ads started, and Facebook started, I think it's in 2005 or 2006. So over the years it evolved, and now it's all about learning large language models. And I was looking at reports the other day, and I'm seeing students enroll that did a search on ChatGPT and landed on the website of the college and now enroll. So yeah, that's what we do, Michael, in a nutshell. And we're kind of trying to keep up with the times and the evolution in technology.
And I noticed you're running a course right now on how to optimize the use of ChatGPT for your recruiting and for your enrollment.
I've done the course several times over the last 2 years. I've presented at many events on this topic, and there's been big releases now, and I actually have to redo all the slides, all the course. It's all different. I mean,
Oh no, Philippe, you're gonna have to do some work.
well, I'm going to have the AI to do the work.
There you go.
Yeah, but yes. And I felt it was the right time to run the course, which I'll be teaching this time because I use AI constantly. I have it running all the time, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and I want to try to impart some of that knowledge and use cases to our sector and the education sector as a whole. Yeah.
It really is a unique skill set in finding the students and getting them to the college that's going to take them to the right place. And I wish more Canadians understood how much work goes into refining and defining the acceptance of students. It's not walk in the front door and you're accepted. Our colleges spend a lot of time making sure that the student aligns with that program and will be successful in that program. Because we also get judged, our statistics are being judged as to graduation rates and employment rates as well, aren't they?
Yes. I mean, we get solicited sometimes for some research on, what new programs should we launch? Now, that's not our core competency, but we do try to provide some input. And it's so critical if you want to keep up with the trends and the industries that are emerging that didn't exist 5 years ago. You've got to always continue adding new programs to your offering, and it's a fine balance. Some are obvious, but some aren't so obvious, and there's some hidden low-hanging fruit or hidden gems that need to be uncovered as our economy is going through a major transformation, partially driven through this AI revolution.
What's interesting is this episode is going to air during kind of back to school week. But in our sector, back to school week is a Tuesday or a Thursday, and it could be the first Wednesday in March. It's not the Tuesday after Labor Day, is it?
No. It's interesting. We have clients that run more traditional cohort models and will have a couple starts a year, maybe 3. Others start every month. Others start programs sometimes even every week. So there's a big disparity between the operational models, which makes it interesting and also makes why career colleges are so needed in our sector and in our industry in Canada. You hear all of this talk about the lack of productivity in Canada. It's just constantly negative. And I feel that if PCCs weren't around, I think the trend of lack of productivity would be bigger. We are trying to counterbalance that by providing short skills focused training that are aimed at specific outcomes and specific occupations that are in demand. So thank God we're here.
You really are not just a vendor supplying services. You are a big advocate of the sector, aren't you?
Well, that's for you to say and not for me to really comment. But I'll tell you this. I mean, I started my career in this sector in my mid-20s. I got lucky, and I started my career in my mid-20s working for a career college. I got hired by the Automotive Training Center, Dean Croft, who's been my mentor in the sector and my mentor and a friend. As a young man, you need to be guided, and he helped guide me. And so I worked there for several years. So to me, my whole career has been around this sector. Now I'm going to be turning 50 next year. So it's 25 plus years of working alongside all the leaders that you've met and you've brought on to the podcast, and that we meet at these events. So yeah, I don't know if I am what you said I was, but in my mind, this is my life and this is my work, and I'm really passionate about it.
Well, I've seen it at the events, and it's funny. We're going to come back to Dean in a second, but it's funny. I've seen it at the events. Yourself, Martin Durlack, Michael Katz. You guys don't hesitate to rally around a client and help them, even if it's not your own client. To help a college and just have a conversation. And you often are volunteering to sit on panels for us together, where it doesn't have to be about higher education marketing. It's about three people who've spent a lot of time and can learn from each other
Well,
and
I
can
think this
help
is about
people
being
learn.
Canadian, Michael.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very much so.
And
I appreciate the way you think about that. And
yeah.
we notice that when we go down to the US with our partner CQ, we'll often have panels of our partners together like yourself. And it leads to, I think, a better conversation for everybody.
Well, we are complementary. There is some overlap, of course, and we look at things a bit differently. And, when you look at your business, you want to, you'd like to land that business in your books and not their books. That's true of all businessmen and businesswomen. But I have always told my colleagues at HEM, we sell by giving away the secret sauce. And if you look at our blog, we've been blogging, giving tips on how to use digital for, I think, 12 years now. So that's how we approach it. And at the end of the day, if the college has the team in-house to do the work, great. If they don't, that's also great. And that's where we come in. And sometimes we do different things. We'll do audits and we'll provide another point of view of how they approach things and giving another set of eyes on the portfolio. But whatever the client needs is what the client needs. And it's not about pushing our widget or their widget that's going to make them feel better about the engagement. It's about helping them achieve their objectives and helping their students reach their own objectives, which is the ultimate goal about all of this stuff. They have to find employments and so forth. Yeah.
Exactly. Talk to me about Dean Croft, because we talk about mentors on this show and you got ahead of the question and mentioned one. So talk to me about what Dean meant to you, and because we are a big believer in the career college movement of I think mentoring moments, I call them, but there's a whole bunch of them. There might be a student to student. It might be the administrator. It might be the receptionist who I was at a college last week and they called it the chief experience officer. That receptionist was in charge of making sure the moment everybody comes in the front door every day, it's an experience. And you could feel it go through the college from that one person. So talk to me about what Dean and the impact he's had in your life, your career.
I don't think we have the time today to talk about all of it, but I'll say a couple of things.
Hi, Edup Canada listeners. Before we get to the rest of today's episode, I want to talk to you a little bit about a sponsor for this episode, Archie CPL. Archie is a revolutionary credit for prior learning tool that turns PLAR into a recruitment revenue-generating superpower. Archie turns applicants into students in minutes, and it can do it with incredible accuracy that saves colleges and applicants time and money. So you can say bye to manual eligibility assessments, and that means more students in the right program and on the path to success. You can learn more about Archie at knowmeq.com. When you're there, you can book a free demo. And when you meet with their team of educators on a demo, mention Edup Canada to activate Archie for free for 3 months at your college. Big conversations start with Archie.
When I was in my mid-20s starting there, I remember seeing some of the auto mechanics that graduated, and one of the students or grads actually got hired at Mercedes. I was a technician there. So that to me was a big revelation because, in British Columbia, there are other players that provide that type of training that's more maybe closer to the government because they're public institutions. And there was always the predisposition or conception that, if they went there versus here, they had more opportunities. Well, it's not true. It's not true. It's not about that. It's about each individual and how they leveraged what they were provided as a school, and then go to the workforce. And Dean was a big advocate in supporting those students, helping them break maybe some of their shyness or their introvertness, and to go and see the shop managers and telling them, I'm the right person for you. And he was very big at supporting them throughout. It wasn't a numbers game. It was more about the unique individuals and how they would succeed post, their life at ATC. Because the students at all these career colleges, they're only there for a few months, maybe a short year, a year and a half, depending on the program. So it's really a small moment in their lives, and it has to be filled of of impact, and that to me was a big moment. Because that wasn't only about getting leads to come in and enrolling them. No, they had to succeed because they were the biggest lead engines afterwards in referrals, and that was a big eye opener early in my career. I would say one that comes to mind, Michael.
It's important we talk about those moments because it is a part of what our smaller class has, as you talked about it earlier, small, agile, quick programs. So if you've got really good mentoring moments, if you've got those real good interactions within a college, which you obviously got with Dean, but also within our careers, it's really important. I think we all have a role to play in making sure that we help the next generation, help the next person become better, more productive, more accepted, I think is another one too. It's just, and that's what I love about the colleges. You get inside these colleges and you see the communities, they're so diverse. And you watch the group of people working around a table and you go, that's 5 people you probably would have seen sitting at a table working together. So that's why we focus on this mentoring conversation. And they end up, I think, better team members, better employees because of that work experience they get inside the colleges, which you've had a chance to see too.
Well, it's very different from a traditional community college or university type training where it's just theoretical. And no, and they're in the shop that they have, and the students are under the hood and they're using their ratchets. And we always joke, him and I, because I'm such a not of a mechanic. I'm not really handy at all. But
You're
I
more
was
of a
running
suit
for
and tie
years.
guy, Philippe. You're more of a dress shirt kind of guy.
I like my dress shirt. I like to, I do. I
It's
do.
the Montreal in you. It's a little old school, isn't it?
I like to drive. I can move around in the car, but I can't fix it. This morning I put some air in my tire and it didn't work. It's kind of silly, but that's just who I am.
Okay. We got to rewind here for a second. Have a little fun. You couldn't put air in your tires,
Well, I
Philippe?
put it
And
in, but it
you,
didn't. The gauge thing didn't reset. It should have reset, and it didn't reset. And I said, okay, well, I'll just deal with it later on.
okay, that one it will come back to haunt you.
I'm sure it will,
The-
but it's okay.
That one, that story we will hear when we're on one of our panels somewhere together. We also ask people, and this is on purpose, about a skill they've developed, because I think we just talked about it, but that hands-on practical experience that our colleges give. There are very few of our programs that don't have a practicum of some level. Even when online, there's still that practical. You still go work at an employer. And what I love is the number of employers that are lined up now to be involved because they want to hire the graduates. And I hear from colleges all the time, we have more colleges looking. I saw Computech yesterday post it. They have 100 partners in one of their programs for healthcare workers because they're looking for the graduates. So tell me about a skill that makes you successful, and then when did you develop it? Was it something you always had, or is it something you developed over time?
Well, I think I'll use one that applies to my work at HCM that I discovered a passion for when I worked for ATC, and it was attribution. So marketing attribution. And this is a practice and a skill that's, or an understanding that's gotten a lot more complicated. So when I started, we would put ads in the newspaper called The Province in BC. And we'd put an ad and we'd fight to get the best ad positioning. And then we'd get phone calls. So it was clear, we'd ask the person, where did you hear of us? And the person would say, oh, I saw your ad in The Province. Okay. Then we went to online and we started running Google ads. And then we were able to get the lead coming into the database, and we knew that it came from that ad on Google. But then there was the whole evolution of search engine optimization, which made it a bit less clear. Did the person see us on SEO or did they see us on Google ads? So we had to develop methods to differentiate between the two. But then social media came and Facebook came around, 06 or 07, as I said earlier. And then leads started coming in through Facebook, then came through Instagram or Facebook, then came through TikTok. So now you're looking at how do you have an attribution model that can take account for where did the lead come in from? And if you want to add layers of complexity to that, did the person see the ad first on Google didn't click on it, came back the next day through SEO, then came back through social media, and then finally came into the CRM. And some systems track re-inquiries where they actually fill out the form more than once. Maybe the source of each form submission is different. And I can go on and on and on, but essentially you're getting the gist of this. It's getting a lot harder to know where did the person initiate their journey with that college that brought them in and actually got them to enroll and start and graduate. So I spent a lot of time trying to demystify this and try to educate our clients as to where they came from, these students, because when you look at it only one way, you can make a big mistake. One example is the difference between Google, which has a high intent, versus social media, which is more disruptive, like display advertising. But actually, when you study it, sometimes you'll see that the more you run social ads, the more your Google ads do better, and vice versa. Anyways, I don't want to bore your audience too much with attribution, but it's such an important skill in our sector that invests a lot of resources in marketing and want their marketing to do well, and the whole concept of return on investment. And it's not linear. I guess that's one takeaway if your audience can glean from what I've stated. This is not a linear principle. It's full of different paths and journeys. And the more elements you include in your marketing mix, the more you'll have the attribution be more complex, which is actually the nature of how consumers behave today. Think of how you shop for a car. You go on YouTube, you go on their website, you might sign up for their newsletter, you might read some specific blogs around the reviews of the car, you might ask ChatGPT to provide you some input, and at some point you'll go in for that demo. So it's not linear. It's a complicated multi-channel environment that we're involved in. And I'd like to encourage all of your listeners to maybe think of that when they have their morning coffee.
Attribution is what they should be thinking about during their morning coffee.
Absolutely. Well, once in a while, there's 365 morning coffees, at least once a year.
Well, for me, there's about 1,500 because I usually have about 5 morning coffees.
Yeah, but that first one is the best one.
The first one is the best one.
Yeah.
The first one's the
I
best
think so.
one.
That's for me. Yeah, I know I lived in Rome, right? When you have your first cappuccino in the morning when you're in Rome.
There's something to be said for the 7 o'clock espresso at dinner.
Mm. Oh, really? Yeah.
And,
okay.
And there's also nothing like.
Is that before or after grappa?
I do after grappa,
Okay.
but I do enjoy watching tourists in Rome try and order a cappuccino after 4.
Yeah.
Just to see the reaction they get from the local community about that option.
No milk
available.
After 12 is the rule.
That's right. That's right. You're a well-traveled man. I like to ask that skill question because we go in all kinds of different directions. But you just touched on one there because there's so much money, so much time and energy and resources put into finding students and connecting them to the right program. And you just touched on some things that I'd never even heard of, never even thought of that way. And I even think about my own businesses and how we advertise. And are we doing it right to get the customers in, or do we even know what's really working? So that's an interesting thought. Do you have a story about our sector, the great story of a student or something you experienced that makes you like just grin ear to ear?
Well, I spent a lot of time at colleges over the last 25 years, visiting a whole bunch of them. I mean, that one that I told you earlier about that student that became a mechanic at Mercedes kind of drawn on, it stuck with me because I love cars. And to me, if you're a mechanic there, not to say there's no bad cars, but it kind of stood out to me. Are there others? There's so many that, I mean, I remember going to these CCO events and listening to those graduates on stage and the impact that their study and their teacher had on them. I mean, our sector trains there's 175,000 students a year. Is that right?
Somewhere in that area, yeah.
So it's a colossal number.
I always tell people, go to a grad.
Yeah.
Experience one of our graduations and you'll see something that makes you a fan of our sector. Because it's different, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's the connection to the outcomes, it's the connection to the industry, it's the connection to the jobs, the career that they get right away or very shortly after they graduate. That to me, that's the story. And you don't see that in other segments of the post-secondary education sector to the same degree that we do or you do in our sector. You just don't. So that's how I see it.
Before we sign off, is there any last message or anything that you'd like to mention or get across? Even a little bit of a shill on your own company and what
Yeah,
you
I don't
guys are
like to do
doing.
that. I kind
I
of,
know you don't, but I
yeah.
may make you do it. But is there something that you'd like to say before we sign off?
Well, I would say think of our upcoming course on ChatGPT. It's going to be fantastic. It'll be awesome, and it's needed. You guys need to know how to use it more, or your staff need to know how to use it more to make their lives easier. And I would say contact us to find out more about our solution, which is called HEMSP, SP for Student Portal. It's a full point-to-point CRM and SIS. Modern attribution built in. You might love it.
Attribution is the word of the day. I think you know what the topic of the podcast now. We joked about what's the theme. What's the theme of the podcast before we started? Now we know it's attribution, because that's not a word you're going to hear every day.
It's a word I like. I really do.
And I challenge you all not to think of that while you're having your morning coffee tomorrow.
Please do.
So with that, I want to thank you, Philippe, not only for joining us today, but just for your leadership in the sector and your support of a lot of the associations, not just Canadian ones. You guys, I don't understand. You're all living in airplanes, traveling around the world to conferences here and there, constantly trying to learn and pick up a little trick. You'll be in Germany here, then you're over here, you're in LA, and we appreciate your support of our association and our colleges. But also, I think I appreciate your one-on-one support of individuals and colleges, and myself, most importantly for me today. You've been a great friend since I joined, but you reached out as soon as I took the job and offered some sage advice. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll leave that between us, but it was greatly appreciated and helpful because I kind of wandered in. There was no manual sitting on the desk going, this is what you do on Monday. And we kind of had to figure it out. And we made some good steps and some bad
you've done
steps,
an awesome
but
job.
we're moving forward.
You've been impactful, Michael. You really have been.
We're doing our best, and it's easy to, because it's very easy to be passionate about this sector and these people, right? Because they really do great things every day. So thank you, Philippe. And with that, we will sign off for this week's edition of the Edup Canada podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Edup Canada podcast. We release new episodes regularly, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know when they are officially out. If you love this episode, please leave a 4 or 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcasts, so that others can also discover how a set of skills can lead to success. Thanks for learning with us.